A Lit in 10 discussion with Lisa M. Kendrick, Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. The author, who historians believe wrote Le Morte d'Arthur, is Sir Thomas Malory. Although he is famous for writing the first epic prose in English, he is a controversial figure. As a political adversary of the ruling family of the time, he was jailed repeatedly for either actual heinous acts or heinous made-up charges. Despite that, this selection is the most popular and complete of the Arthurian tales. There are hundreds of stories in the Arthurian saga, so get ready for a rapid-fire overview. Uther Pendragon desires Igraine, and Merlin arranges it in exchange for any baby born from that union. Merlin uses magic to disguise Uther as Igraine's husband, and Uther spends the night with her. Meanwhile, Igraine's husband is killed by Uther's men in battle, but surprise, he still convinces her to marry him. She eventually confesses she is pregnant, but does not know who the father is, since her husband was dead on the battlefield when she was making the beast with two backs, with a look-alike. Uther confesses, I guess they have a laugh, until Merlin takes her baby Arthur to be raised in secret by Sir Ector. Flash forward and Uther Pendragon dies. Merlin drives the sword Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake, in some versions an old lover of his, into a stone. Arthur pulls the sword from the stone, marries Guinevere, makes the round table, but Igraine's daughter Morgause knows what Uther did and uses a spell to seduce Arthur, yes, her half-brother, and then more magic to lock Merlin in a tree, so he's out of the way. Morgause raises her son Mordred in secret to one day destroy Arthur. Years pass, Arthur's goes on quests. Lancelot is left behind to protect Camelot and Guinevere. They have an affair. They are discovered. Lancelot's wife commits suicide. Guinevere becomes a nun, and Lancelot joins forces with Mordred. Battle ensues, during which Lancelot and Gawain fight each other. Mordred and Arthur kill each other on the battlefield. Bedivere returns Excalibur to the Lady of the Lake, and Arthur's body is taken to Avalon by the three queens. The plot of a medieval romance is most often conflict-driven rather than character-driven. This conflict is most often simultaneously internal and external. For instance, a knight struggling against another knight physically in battle, while fighting on the inside to be courageous. These conflicts reveal characters' motivations. Most often, these motivations revolve around chivalry, but as with Lancelot, they do sometimes misstep and break that code. The Siege of Benwick and the Last Battle are the two excerpts most often found in anthologies. In Sir Malory's version, Guinevere isn't relegated to being a nun right away, she's condemned to being burnt at the stake. Lancelot rescues her, thereby killing Gawain's two brothers and making himself into an enemy. That pits him against Gawain at Benwick. Shortly after that, Arthur tries to broker peace, but fighting breaks out again for the last battle. Sir Gawain, angry with Sir Lancelot, urges King Arthur to lay siege to Lancelot at Benwick. It goes terribly, with many lives lost. So Lancelot and Gawain decide to settle it in one-to-one combat. They are evenly matched and magically assisted, so although Gawain is wounded, neither can prevail. Then, because Mordred has lied and said Arthur is dead to be let into Camelot, Arthur flees the siege to reclaim Camelot. There's a lot going on here. There's an usurper who in some version is Arthur's son and nephew. There are larger-than-life characters. There are knights who seem to have abandoned the code of chivalry. There is all of the internal conflicts between Gawain and Lancelot, having been like brothers, and in Arthur as he must watch his best friend and nephew fight, knowing his best friend had also been with his wife, but still caring for him. This version could be called Angst 101. Arthur, Gawain, and the army return to England. Benwick is in what is today France, to oust Mordred from Camelot. Gawain writes Lancelot, begging him to return, then dies. Gawain's ghost then warns Arthur to settle this peacefully. Arthur tries, but the devil sends a snake to bite a knight during the peace conference, and everyone starts fighting again. The battle is, well, epic. Then Mordred and Arthur fight each other. Arthur receives a fatal head wound while impaling Mordred on his spear. This piece is full of visions. In particular, Arthur has a vision about Gawain's ghosts and three queens who appear to him and warn him about the battle. In earlier parts of the selection, Morgause appears in a dream, as does Merlin. There is also the Lady of the Lake grasping Excalibur, which must seem unreal to Bedivere. There is always good advice and great characters, but there are also unreliable factions like the Devil and Mordred, who make peace impossible. The overriding idea of Arthurian sagas and the medieval romance is twofold. No matter how many dragons or monsters or bad knights one defeats, there's another one. Plus, temptation's always just around the corner. It seems the best knights simply can't live up to expectation. It's for this reason Arthur leaves. The idea that the world is not good enough for lasting peace. In reality, the Middle Ages were bloody and terrible, but at least in literature, feudal lords and knights aspired to something better. Thanks for stopping by. Nothing enhances cognitive abilities, increases vocabulary, or expands horizons more than reading. Be sure to check out my other videos in this Lit in 10 discussion series.